What's up, guys? It's been a while, hasn't it? We've kind of been MIA past few weeks, months, whatever we're at now. But excited to be back. I don't know if you guys can notice, we have the RST jerseys, the eSports jerseys, and that's actually one of the reasons I've been gone for so long. Is we've actually started a RST eSports team. So we've been competing in the SRO America GT World Challenge. There are 4 or 5 races in now. We're fielding 2 teams, but we do have the SRO GT World Challenge endurance series coming up. The first race was supposed to be last month. It got pushed back. So the first race is in October. So we're actually doing the AOR 9 hours of Donington to get familiarized with the team. This is actually going to be our first team challenge as a formal team. We've done the sprint, but it's been, the sprints, it's not a team format. So we're just going to do this to get some practice. So we're going to actually be working on the setup today. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump in the game and get going. Hey, what's up, Charger? How's it going, man? Lurking on the stream. But let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the AOR rules just so we can see what weather we're doing. I do want to show you guys this real quick though. This the livery that we got for, so there's 2 teams, right? We have the RST Red and RST Black esports team, and I'm on the RST Black. This is the car we'll be driving, the NSX for the endurance series. And man, look at this livery that Flack created for us. Let's go into replay. Don't like that the HUD's showing right there. Hey, what's up, Ron? How's it going, man? It's been a while. Super excited to be back though. Charter said, wonder where you've been at. You know what's up, chat. Been busy. So one thing I do want to say, guys, is we do have the RC update. The broadcast is really close to being done. This is going to let you be able to broadcast your data to other people. People can connect to you, kind of like a server. And once you get data, you can broadcast that out. They're going to be able to get your data. It's going to be really nice for endurance races, where you're driving on the track and you want to see how the car's evolving while you're still on the track. You're going to be able to do that with this new update, which is going to be pretty sick. But yeah, here's the livery I wanted to show off, guys. Look how good this looks. I absolutely love the black on red. This looks really good. Flack did an awesome job with this livery. I mean, just looks fantastic. For SRO, you do have to follow a livery format guide. You have to have like certain sponsors on the car, stuff like that. But just really representing the RST brand really well. Let's you can see the top of the car here, got the RST logos, looking super clean. And my favorite part here is when you look on the back. So everyone that is trying to catch up to us, they're going to see the RST logo in the background, which is just pretty sick. But let's go ahead. Let's get out of here. Let's see what the weather is going to be for the 9-hour Donington. So we can start the prep work for the setup. So I'm just going to quit out here. And then actually, I'm going to try something, guys. Let's go to the RST format here. And I'm actually going to add let's do a window capture. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new source. I want to share my web browser with you guys. Hopefully I don't have any naughty tabs open. Let's see. Chrome, here it is. Okay. Yep, there we go. Just so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at. Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. And we're going to fit that to the window. Okay, cool. So you guys can see, let's see, the race is going to be Sunday at 2 p.m. in game time, 25 degrees, average ambient temperature, cloud level 0.4, weather randomness 4, rain level setting 0.05, rain amount limited to 2/3 of the maximum value. So there is a chance that we might have rain for this race, guys. 25 degrees is going to be a little bit on the hot side. We might have trouble with the NSX. NSX has a more rearward weight distribution, so we're going to eat those rear tires up a little bit more. But let's go ahead and dial those settings into the game. So let's go and do that. Ron said he has got a setup together. Are you doing the 9 hours of Donington as well, Ron, with AOR? Let's go ahead and go into the weather while we wait on that. Okay, so ambient is, what did it say again? 25 degrees Celsius. Okay. And then cloud level 40%. We're just gonna practice without rain for this first run here. And then the in-game race time is 2 p.m. Yeah, 2 p.m. on a Sunday. So that should get us pretty close conditions. Obviously, I'm doing the setup on stream with you guys. When we do the actual, when we're a few days out, we'll actually do the proper conditions on the test server. You always want to kind of test on the test server, just to make sure you're not accounting, you're getting the actual conditions of the race. But let me go ahead and put the gloves on. One thing I do want to show you guys is on the RST software real quick. Let me hide the one thing that we do have is we haven't done any laps yet, but I'm going to go ahead and select the Honda NSX in the next car session parameters. We've been getting a lot of questions about car parameters. When do I need them? You know, what graphs can I use? So I want to show you kind of the workflow that I follow without knowing the like ARB rates, IR rates, things like that. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the NSX. We're going to look at some of those graphs first, and then I'm going to show you how I get the car to a reasonably good place, and then we can start to dial in the setup once we know the ARB value. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to select the Honda NSX. That's going to add my in like some basic static car parameters that you can just select from the drop down. When I select file next session car parameters, that's going to load it in. So every time I do a new session, it's going to pull from those values. So this is a good way to improve your workflow efficiency without having to spend too much time. So we're gonna go back. That's loaded up. We are ready to do some laps, guys. So I have cheated a little bit. I do have kind of a baseline that we have here. This is our Bathurst setup. I'm going to use this as a baseline. Bathurst is on the 2019 tire set, just like Donington. And it felt pretty good. I think it's going to be a good baseline to start. So let's go ahead, load this setup. What we're going to do is do a few laps in these weather conditions, and then look at some RST data to adjust the tire pressures and work our way through it. So let's do it. Let me know if the sound's okay too, by the way, chat. We've been tweaking settings, so you never know. You guys can see my dash too. Kind of cool. A little bit new of a new camera angle that we got going on. So temperature is pretty warm, so I'd imagine these tire pressures are probably going to be overinflated, but let's just do a few laps, see how overinflated they get, and then go from there. Car feels really good. Donington's one of those tracks that's a lot of fun here. It's a little skatey right now though. Let's see, I wonder if the track's conditions optimum. Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely warm. One of the hardest things about Donington is this chicane. You obviously want to carry as much mid-corner speed through there as possible, but it's really easy to get track warnings in the actual race, so you got to be careful. You don't want to get a drive-through, especially with 9 hours. So for the race that's coming up, there's 4 people on the team for the black team. It's myself, Jake Moore, Nick Alvarez, and Marcus. And we're all going to be driving the car, so we have to all find a medium with the setup. And I'm actually going to show you later in the stream, guys, how you can use what I call as like a setup sheet to kind of get the feedback of all the drivers, so you can start to understand and see patterns in terms of how you need to set up the car. We're just gonna do a few more laps here. Yeah, that front left's already getting a little high in tire pressure. Not too bad. 28's not too high yet, but it's gonna continue to rise, guaranteed. We don't need those cones. Take out those cones, chat. One of the things I need to improve as a driver is I'm constantly downshifting into a little bit of gear. That should just be a little bit more conservative on the downshifts here. One thing I just noticed is, let me clear that chat when I don't know why it's not going away. It's probably really annoying. Set it to where it goes away after like 30 seconds. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that, guys. I just didn't want you guys having to see the chat the whole time. One thing that really annoys me with OBS is like you can't deselect something sometimes. Dude, we're murdering the cones, Charger. Don't you know every object that you can hit that doesn't cause damage to the car is worth like points? We got 28.5 on the pressures. So I'm gonna do a few more laps. We want to continue to do a few laps just to see what the nominal pressure and temperatures get to, so we can make it those adjustments. So in a few updates ago, we actually added what we call the absolute tire pressure and temperature run graph. So it's actually taking an average every lap, and then you can see how the tire pressures and temperatures are changing over a stint type of session. So it's a really good way just to get the tire pressures in the rough window when you're not driving like an idiot, and then you can go from there. So I'm going to show you that after we get back on track here. Do a few more laps, and then we'll dial the pressures in. What POV are you running? You mean FOV, Ron? We're I'm not sure actually. I have a 35-inch ultra wide, so I have to check. It's really close to what you're supposed to set it to, but I just like it a little bit more narrow. It gives me a little bit better sense of speed. Dude, Charger, I'm not the brake marker taker outer, but I just know that someone's gonna take them out here. When we did the SRO Sprint series, like you know, the high speed right hand turn, like someone took out the brake markers for that. It was so bad. It was so hard to know where to brake. Yeah, we can check Ron here in a bit. It's pretty close to like the calculated value, I know that. Damn, it's getting hot as hell in my room, guys. I closed the freaking door and it's already like 85 degrees in here. All right, let's just do like 2 more laps and then we'll see what the data looks like. Just want to get a really good kind of average temperature and pressure here, so we know what to set the brake ducts to, and also set the tire pressures, so that we can actually worry about the fun stuff, which is the setup. Always start with the tire pressures, guys, especially in ACC. Getting the tire pressures nailed is super crucial for this game. These cars are very sensitive to tire pressures, and the operating window is fairly narrow, so if you don't get them, if that's not the first thing that you are trying to focus on, you're really going to be chasing your tail. Doing horrible lap times. So when we did SRO Sprint, I think I was doing 27. 27 is pretty consistent. I think we did 169 like 9. 26.9. But I think it was pretty close to 27 flat for the first half of the race. With these conditions, I would probably maybe expect a little bit slower, maybe like mid 27s, but we'll have to see. Yeah, it's 28.2, and we're still not really driving super focused yet, and tire pressures are complete garbage. I think that rear left tire is overheating a little bit too. I'm probably gonna have to open the brake ducts just a tad. Have to see. I think this is the hardest corner to get right. It's really easy to just slide the car like that. Look at all the time I'm losing now. Oh man. Over slowing the car through there too. Look at that rear left tire. Oh, you guys can't see it. It's a little orange. Little orange. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go back to the pits, and we're gonna actually look at the data and see what the tire pressures are looking like. So I'm just gonna go here, pull that up. So, okay, this is what I was saying, guys. You know, normally you would come in here, select the lap, go to temperatures, and then click on, you know, something like ABS, T&Ps, and that was going to give you, you know, those temperatures and pressures for this one lap that we have selected. And this is a good way. Oh, funny, you can actually see I have a curb strike here. I lost a good amount of pressure. You know, sometimes we want to see how it does over a session, right? So we actually added this in the last update. You come to run now and select ABS T's and P's. This is absolute tire temperatures and pressures, but over the full session. So if I click on this, you can see I now have the x-axis is the laps. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's those laps. And then the top one is the temperatures and the bottom one's the pressures. So I'm just gonna, you can see from this data set, we really don't get, you know, to a nominal pressure and temperature until about lap 2. So, you know, this is why we always tell you guys, you know, do a few laps. Don't just go out, check the pressures and temperatures after like the first lap. You want to do a few just to get to this nominal and then take a reading. So makes it easy because we can kind of see the evolution of all these different ones here. So I'm actually just going to go to lap 4. And we're going to be shooting for about a tire pressure of about 27.7. So you can see the front is the left side's way overpressured, and in general we're overpressured just because these temperatures are a little bit warmer than we're used to. So we're actually going to go ahead and set that up. So I'm going to go back into the setup now, and we are going to set these pressures. So the front left, if we're trying to knock it down to 27.7, it's like what, 0.4. So about 0.7 we need to pull out of there. So that's going to be 26.3 on that front left. Another 0.7 on the rear left. So what is that? We're at 26.3. Okay, that should be it. 25.6. Okay. And then the right side, let's go ahead and look at that. 28.1. So we need to knock about 0.3 PSI. And then that rear side, we need to take about what is that? 5? Yeah, about 5 clicks. So that's gonna be 26.1. Okay, so the pressure should be pretty much in the ballpark now. Let's go ahead and look at these temperatures though. Looking at the temperatures, which is again this top graph. Let's see, the hottest temperature is definitely that rear left, and look at it, it's at 93 degrees. You really want to keep these dry tires under 95. 93 is getting really close. We're really close to overheating, and I actually saw that on the tire HUD in the game. It was orange, right? So I already know I was getting kind of close, but this data here confirms it. So that probably means that I need to open up the rear brake ducts to cool that rear tire down. In a lot of games, you can do other things like soften the springs, you know, reduce toe, you know, the typical stuff that works in real life. ACC, they don't, even though they do work like maybe 1 degree Celsius, they really don't. So the best way is just the brake ducts. If you open the brake ducts like, you know, 2 clicks, you're probably gonna get about 2 or 3 degrees Celsius drop in temperature, which is what we want. You do have to be careful though. You know, the brake temperatures, you don't want them too cool. So sometimes it's good to check what those brake temperatures are. So if I come to temps and then come to brakes, you can see that the rear is already, it's getting down to 200 at some point. So if I open the brake duct to cool that rear tire, we're going to lose a little bit of brake efficiency on the rear. But when it comes to brakes or tires, always settle on the tires. Always focus on the tires. If you have to make compromises in the brakes, do that. So we're going to open the rear brake duct just a little bit. Which is also going to change my pressures that I just set. So we're probably going to have to do another 2-3 laps here just to get the pressures right. But we should be pretty close. So I'm going to go, let's go back to the game now. You guys see the data. What we're gonna do is we're gonna come to the brake ducts, and that's really bad because they are all the way open. So that could be a very big challenge for us here with this car, and these temperatures, is keeping that rear tire cool. So I really can't adjust this anymore. So let's go, actually, now that the pressure's okay, let's just go out and see what the tire temperatures are doing. Maybe the pressures were, we were sliding the rear a little bit more because the rear left tire pressure was way overinflated. Maybe we were scrubbing too much. Let's go see. Maybe we're a little bit cooler. If not, we're gonna have to probably make some compromises in the setup. Maybe lower the rear ride height. That's gonna move that lateral stiffness a little bit farther, so that we a little bit more understeer, and we start we save a little bit of that rear tire, right? So let's go ahead and go out on track and see how it goes. So let me just make sure these are still set. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are right. I'm just gonna save over this setup, and then let's do some laps. Oh, and let's get off tire set 1. So always check when you're getting on these new tires. So look, it wanted me to go on tire set 1. I already used tire set 1. That's obviously gonna make it a little cloudy if we're making improvements on worn tires, right? So always just check that. You guys ready for the 24 hours of Le Mans this weekend? Super excited. I love the race. Got a 12 pack of beer in the fridge. Definitely gonna be kind of chilling this weekend and watching that. Trying to get some of the RST code down. Trying to get the broadcast stuff squared away. I want to get that update out ASAP. All right, gonna focus this a little bit more here. Still can talk to the chat, but let's try not to be an idiot in how we drive. Feels so weird. I haven't driven on stream in so long. Like the light that I use to light my face up on stream, it's kind of distracting. It's kind of weird how you get used to not driving a certain way. So for that chicane, what I really like to do is be on the gas right as I'm crossing the apex for the entry. So when we did the SRO sprint, I was driving the Lamborghini here at Donington, but we did place, I think it was P11, maybe it's P12, I can't remember. We were right outside the top 10 though, which is really cool considering there's 40 cars and that grid's pretty stacked. But remember, about after 2 laps we're good, so let's just do 2 or 3 laps here, and then go back to the data, see what the tire temperatures and pressures look like. Also trying to think about how the car feels in some of these turns, really starting to think about where we might want to take the setup and where we need to improve the setup. One of the areas I kind of struggle at is this turn right here. Really easy to get loose on this corner. That wasn't too bad though. Gaining some time here. Gaining some time. There's the green. Let's go, chat. Let's go. Man, it feels good to be driving again. It's been forever since I've driven. So on power now. Went a little deep there. Invalidated. Chicane is so crucial here too. That's like where all the time is. So the tire pressure is looking pretty decent. Not too high yet. A little late on the throttle application there. So really paying attention how, you know, the entry, mid corner, and exit of every corner feels. With these pressures, it feels a little bit kind of sluggish to rotate mid corner, especially in that high speed corner there. Hey, what's up, Dennis? How's it going, man? It's been a while. Hope you're doing good. We so for me at work this week, we get every other Friday off, so this is the Friday we have off. So we called today Friday because it's Thursday, but it's technically like a Friday. Keep invalidating that. I need to be a little bit braver there. The that hairpin's so hard to get because it's downhill and so easy to go deep there. All right, let's do one more lap, guys. One more lap. That rear left tire temperature is still getting up there, just a little bit. There we go. Nice. 2/10 in turn one. Yeah, that corner specifically, mid corner, just feels a little bit like it's hesitant to rotate on me. Good amount of time. $27.8. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Didn't invalidate either. Gonna lose it some time there. Overslowed the car on the entry. Still a little time in there. There you go, 4/10. We can definitely do mid 27 with this setup though. Let's go ahead back, look at the data again. Let's see what those how the tire pressures look now after making that adjustment. So we're just gonna go back to the garage, pull up RST, take a look. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go back to the run here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and select this. You're gonna see some added graphs here. So you can see now, if I close this, look how more grouped these pressures are now. Way more grouped. So that just kind of shows you how these run graphs can get you in the ballpark, right? Eventually we might want to tune the pressures, you know, based on certain corners. We want to make sure we're right at that peak pressure, right on the corner that we're needing that pressure to be perfect on some of those high speed, high load corners. But for this is a good start. Look, we're, you know, after lap 3, the fronts are right around 27.8, which is perfect, and same on the rears, 27.7. Probably go just one click lower all the way around. Just want to be a little bit under pressure here. After lap like 2 or 3, there's still going to be a little bit of an increase in pressure, so I just want to account for that. So let's just drop those pressures just a little bit here. So I'm just going to go into the tires here. Let's just drop all these pressures, just one click. And that's going to get me that 27.7 all the way around. So we're going to save that. Let's see what that rear left tire is getting to now that the pressures are set. Again, that was an issue that we were having before. So let's go back, take a look. So let's look at the temperatures, which is again the top here. And that rear left tire is this green, and it's at 95 degrees. So it's pretty significantly a pretty good amount warmer here. So we definitely gonna want to make an adjustment there. So we got to think, how can we move you know, some of that load transfer forward, so that we're putting more temperature in the front tires and a little bit less in the rear. Well, the main way that you would do that is soften the springs or lower the rear ride height. You're really trying to change that lateral stiffness distribution to again promote more load transfer on the front, When you have more load transfer, that's going to have a higher delta between the inside and outside tire. And it's going to remove a little bit of load transfer from the rear, which will help with this really high rear left tire temperature. So we can probably lower the rear a little bit. That's going to help with the rake. But again, remember that high speed corner, the right hander, we were having a little issue getting the rotation. So I want to show you guys some magic. Right now is going to be a great time to show you this like setup sheet and how I approach, gathering feedback for our setups for our eSports RC teams. You have to remember, we have 4 drivers per this car, so we're all going to have to capture feedback. How I want the car might be a little bit different from how Nick or how Marcus wants the car. So we need to all kind of give the same feedback and then see where there's patterns where, maybe we all agree in a certain area, right? So that's a place to focus on. So let me show you what we did for Laguna Seca, and we ended up with a really good setup. I'll show you guys the premise, and then we can start doing that here at Donington. Yeah, I know, Dennis. The setup that I'm developing now is never going to go on the store. I only hide the setups that we're going to be selling. So obviously people will want to buy the setups. The setups that we're doing here, I have no problem showing it because this is the setup that we're developing for the 9 hours of Donington. If it was the SRO, which is a little bit more competitive, obviously we're playing for $15,000 for that race. Probably hide that setup, but this one I have no problem showing. So let me get up. I'm gonna open my door. It's really freaking hot in my room. I'm like sweating, and then I'm gonna pull up that spreadsheet for you guys to see. So just hang tight. All right, guys, we are back. Sorry about that. Just had to get up real quick. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and show the screen here. Hopefully you can see that. So I actually have it pulled up already. Is this kind of window readable for you guys? I don't know if it's too small, but don't want to show you that one. That was not one to show you guys. Some hidden squirrel stuff in there. But this is the setup sheet that we use. So let me just make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So again, this is what we use for Donington. Let's do it under there. Okay, perfect. So this is what we use for Laguna Seca. So this is how I do setups for a team or an endurance race. So I set up these kind of Excel or Google Drive sheets, and what we do is, this is the typical format. It really depends on how you want to set them up, but to me this is the easiest way to set it up. I can do it for any race that we're doing, and it's a really good way to evaluate feedback. So let me kind of show you how I use these, and then kind of talk you through it, and then show you how we used it for this setup, and then we'll start to develop one for the Donington setup, since that's going to be a team event as well. If you guys have any questions about this while I'm going through it, just let me know, guys. This is supposed to be kind of a I'm trying to do, like, when we do these streams, I'm trying to do kind of like a video type content, just to add value here, because I know sometimes just watching me do hot laps is no bueno. It's not the most exciting thing to watch. But okay, let's kind of talk through this setup, right? So typically I like to have the track map on the sheet, just so everyone knows what corners we're all referencing, right? Most people know what the corner numbers are or the corner names, but it's always good just to have it on the sheet, so there's no questions, right? We know this turn 5 is this turn 5. So always have a track map on there. And then what I do is I have this table for every driver, right? Every driver is going to be filling it out, and we're going to be evaluating where there might be crossover points. So here, let's just look at this, the columns here. This is for my feedback. First is the turn number, right? We need to know where on the track this is, what corner this is for. Then what I do is the speed of the corner. I actually add this row myself after everyone's added feedback. This is just to help me evaluate what are the average mid-corner speeds here. If it's above 120, I classify as high speed. If it's below that, I classify as like a low speed or mid speed. Mid speed is like between like 60 to 120, and then obviously sub 60 kilometers per hour is going to be a low speed corner. That's just going to help me understand, if something's aero sensitive or maybe a little less aero sensitive, to kind of help me kind of think about my thought pattern. So then the next columns are going to be your entry response. How does the car feel on entry, right? Is it a little bit too responsive, meaning as you get it just a little bit of steering input, it really gets a lot of yaw right in there and it really responds? Or is it a little less responsive, right? You have to really be aggressive on the steering input to get the car to turn in and do what you want. Mid corner, same thing. We're looking at how is the behavior at the apex of the corner. Does the car feel balanced? Does it feel unstable? That's what we're talking about mid corner. And then exit response, same thing as the entry. How does the car feel on the exit? Do you have to really be really aggressive on the steering input to get it to get the line that you want out of the corner? Is it too sensitive? You know, if you breathe on the steering wheel, do you get to oversteer? So we're really starting to break up what corners we're looking at on the track. We're breaking them up by corner entry, mid corner, and corner exit. Because we can do certain things in the setup based on the entry, mid corner, exit phase, right? We can think of the entry or exit as transient behaviors and the mid corner as our steady state. That being said, if the apex is really bumpy, it could be also a little transient in nature, but for now we're just going to kind of consider that to be the steady state. So the way this works is I have a little legend here too. You need a standard way that everyone on your team knows what the nomenclature is. So the way we do this is for transient phases, it's a 0, -1, 0, 1. -1 means it's a lack of response. You have to be aggressive on the steering input. 0 means it's perfect, feels real good, or it's within your acceptable criteria. And then 1 means it's over responsive. I'm having an issue with it, the car being too sensitive on corner entry. Mid corner, we break it up to understeer, neutral, or oversteer. Obviously, understeer means the car is understeering, it's pushing in the corner. Neutral steer means it's acceptable, it's within your tolerance. And then oversteer means the car is obviously unstable at the mid corner. Exit response, same thing as entry. -1, 0, 1. -1, you have to be really aggressive on the exit. 0 is perfect, and +1 means it's too sensitive. So the way you do this is you do a setup revision. So for this one, it was the 0.1 setup that we did. So it's pretty much the basic setup, the first baseline setup we sent out for evaluation. I drove it, did some laps after gathered my thoughts. I came in here and evaluated each corner, right? Okay, turn 1, how's the entry? How's the mid corner? How's the exit? Do that for all the turns. And then we wait for everyone else on the team to do the exact same thing. So they're going to go drive that same setup, kind of rate it and evaluate it, and then give their results. And then same thing with our last teammate, Nick here. If you do have notes, you can definitely capture those notes on the side if you want to add a little bit of clarification here. But what we're really trying to do is come up with a standard way to define the setup in equal kind of definitions, right? And start to see if we see kind of some overlapping behavior here. So you can see I have some of these things highlighted yellow or orange. That's just to help me identify, you know, where the deltas are here. So you can see anything that I have marked yellow or orange means it was kind of unacceptable, right? And then I can evaluate. So I'm actually going to look at all of the feedback together and then see where there's kind of like correlation. So, you know, what I'm not looking for is if I said corner 11 was under responsive on the entry, and then Marcus or someone else said it was over responsive, then that would be a good indication that it's just a disagreement in driving style. It's not really a car setup issue. But if let's see, for an example here, well, actually that corner we both said it was under responsive, both me and Marcus. So that's an area that we both want to focus on, right? Because we both are having issues there. So if we focus on alleviating in that, we're both going to get value out of that. So that's what we're really looking for. So here at the bottom, I do a summary view of rolling up all the deltas that everyone gave, and then trying to find out where we really need to focus on. So when you do this, you can really start to see some kind of correlations here, right? If you look at most of this feedback, look, all of the entry is -1s. We don't really have any positive ones. So everyone, any corner that we do have an issue, everyone thinks it's a little under responsive. Mid corner, same thing. The only exception to the rule, every mid corner is pushing except corner 4. But look at corner 4. Corner 4 is a high speed corner. So maybe it's a high speed stability issue, right? So maybe we have a natural tendency for the car to be kind of pushy, kind of understeering, but maybe this corner 4, high speed corner, maybe the center pressure is a little too far forward, right? So we can start to think about that in different, you know, dynamics, different types of turns and ways that we can isolate them. And then same thing on the exit. Look, exit, pretty much everyone except for turn 3 said it was under responsive on the exit. So if we start to really think about what this car is doing as a whole, everyone thought that the car was under responsive and pushy. So that tells me, okay, we need to make a pretty big leap to bring some response into this car. We need to make it a little bit more bring it a little more towards oversteer on the mid corner and bring some response into the car. So I'm already thinking, moving that lateral stiffness backwards so we get more low transfer on the rear, maybe lowering the rear wing to get a little bit more forward COP, things like that, things that I'm already kind of thinking about the setup. So we did that. We made some changes based on this feedback. We came up with 0.2 and we did the exact same thing. It looks like we kind of skipped 0.2. So I think we did a few here offline. But that's what you do. You just keep iterating to it until you get something that everyone is happy with. And again, this is a really good way to start to identify where all the feedback is kind of concentrated. So you can see on this rollout view, this is all feedback where people all agreed that this was an issue of the car. So that's how we do setups for teams. We actually have one, not that screen. We already have one set up for the 9 hours of Donington. Let me pull that up real quick and we can start to fill it out here. So let's come into driver feedback here. So this looks a little bit different because we have made it a little bit more jazzy for Donington, but same exact concept. You can see this is mine here. This is Nick's, this is Marcus, and I'm sure Speed's gonna have one just because of me and him have very similar driving style. So the last few laps we were really thinking about how to get the tire pressures in the window. I think they're pretty good in terms of getting the tire pressure in the window now. We do have to focus on getting that rear tire temperature down. So I'm going to actually drop the rear ride height just a few clicks here. And let's see what happens. And then we're going to evaluate all these corners and then really start to think about where we want to take the setup. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to drop this rear just a bit here. We can also increase the rear wing. So I'm going to do both here. I'm going to increase the rear wing 1 click and drop the rear 2 clicks. But I hope that was informative for you guys. Just again, different ideas for ways to approach setup strategy, especially for teams, right? It's really easy to develop a strategy when you're a one-man team. A little bit harder when you got 4 drivers, all different driver styles and different feedback. So just a good way to summarize everyone's feedback and then start to see patterns in the car setup to where you need to take the setup. Let's go ahead and get it though. Donington's so hard too with getting pressure loss, like curb strikes. I know when I did the SRO sprint, that was like one of the hardest things about driving here is like the pressures. I'm gonna drop that ABS just a little bit too. So it's taking a little bit easy here. God damn. This car is so bad on the brakes, guys. The NSX is a really fun car. The Evo version is a really fun car, but it is trash on the brakes. Pressures are still coming up too, so it's gonna be a little bit of an influencing factor here. Turn 1 felt real good though. Real good. Yeah, it's very pushy after dropping the rear. Very pushy. Just really waiting for the car to kind of rotate the way I want it to. Woo. Too much curb on the entry there. I think we're really gonna have really struggle to really keep that rear left tire temperature down, to be honest. In ACC, there's just really not a big way to adjust tire temperatures other than opening the brake ducts, unfortunately. Let's let that tire cool down just a little bit though. Man, turn one feels really good though. Can't remember if I take that entry in second or third. Second feels too low, but third just feels really laggy on the exit. Not a bad time. That temperature is really not coming down. It's still orange from the spin that we had. Love this section in Donington. Overslowed the car. Really hate. God damn. Hate the brakes on this car. Alright, I'm gonna call it out as we go through the corners here. Turn one feels really good though. Really easy to get the car rotated and get on the power. Pretty early. This corner is the one I really struggle to get the rotation that I want. Really have to trail brake there. It could be a little bit of the diff. The diff might be too locked through there. Move the brake bias back just a little bit here. Tire pressure is spot on though, guys. That felt really good response wise. When the brake bias might be what we need to do here to keep the tire temperatures down on the rear. but still give us the response on the entry phase from trail braking. I want to try that as we go through. Let's try it up here as we go through that high speed section that I was saying that the car is really understeery. Can't beat that. That felt awesome. All right, let's see how it feels here with the brake bias a little further back. Much better. A little slidey there. That was a little bit late. Down a 10th. See if we make it up to the chicane. All right, too aggressive there. So I think the brake bias definitely needs to come back just a little bit. I think the 52.0 is just too aggressive though. Let's look at the data there. I'm curious to see if the lower rake helped at all. It's gonna be hard to tell because we had that little spin here. But I mean, it's, you know, 95. I think it will probably be a little bit cooler. I think this is going to add a lot of energy to the tire that we're really not going to ever get dissipated. So maybe it could have been like another degree cooler. Oh, let me hide the sheet for you guys. Can't see what I'm looking at. Sorry about that. Crap. Wait, there it is. There you go. But like I said, the brake ducts is really what brings down the temperature in ACC. There's really not much you can do if you're overheating that tire. It's right on the limit though, and you have to think, you know, this is probably the hottest the track is going to get. Whenever there's a high chance of rain, and obviously when that cloud cover comes, it's obviously going to cool the track down just a little bit. So we might be okay. One thing I do want to check is, let's go ahead and, I don't want to check here. I want to check like on this lap. I'm curious what the diff is doing here. And I know a lot of you guys probably don't know about this functionality. If you click on the track map, like where you want, you can actually move the cursor to where you want to go. So I'm actually just going to put that cursor there because that's the, actually, yeah, that's the turn. Actually, no, it's not. The turn I'm thinking about is right here. I'm curious to see what the differential is doing. So it is pretty locked as we go through there. I mean, look at that, it's wide open. So decreasing the preload is really not going to help anything. Let's see if that's a common reoccurring theme. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much always locked, or always open. So the thing I'm looking at here is, remember I was saying I was feeling understeer at mid corner of that high speed corner, and it felt like I was just waiting for the car to rotate. Like the response was just a little bit low, which made me think that maybe like the differential is staying locked, right? That's why it's having some resistance to turn in, but it's really unlocked. So changing the preload is really not going to do anything there. So it's telling me that the issue is probably something related with mechanical or aero. We do have the hey, what's up, Dilemma? How's it going, man? Long time no talk. We do have the center pressure really far back. We have a lot of downforce with this setup, so that's probably where some of that understeer is coming from. Let's try this. Let's try to drop that rear aero just a little bit here. See if we get a little bit better response. One thing I want to check too, guys, is the roll gradients. Let's come into, so pitch and roll gradients we can use. I have not entered any car parameters. I want to show you guys that. So, you know, here we have the setup before we made any changes. And pretty small change. We did bring some of that lateral stiffness forward just a little bit, because remember we dropped the rear rake. It's going to promote more load transfer up front. So we do see that a little bit, but not a lot.
They're pretty similar actually in a lot of ways. Bring up a little bit of toe. It's gonna help get the rotation on the entry phase of that corner just a little bit. Okay, let's try this. So for this, what I did is I dropped the rear wing just 2 clicks. That corner is a high speed corner, so it's gonna give me a little bit more rotation there. And then I added just 2 clicks of more rear toe out on the front. That's gonna give me a little bit more steering power on the turn-in phase, just to get me rotated just a little bit sooner. All right, let's give it a go. Tire pressure just felt really good through the full stint though. Felt pretty good. I mean, tire pressure is so low, so it's still got to hold judgment here. That felt a lot better. I think I would like to take that in 3rd if I can. Oh yeah, felt so much better through there too. Just like as you turn in, you can just tell the car just hooks up a little bit better. All right, tire pressure is still a little low. Probably have to milk it just a little bit more. Next lap we'll be able to push. So much better through there. So much better. There we go. See if we can nail it here. Oh, 2 tenths. Let's go. 27.6. Much better. Much better. Lost a little bit of time in the hairpin. That hairpin's so freaking hard to just nail. But especially hard in this car because the freaking brakes suck. All right, we definitely made an improvement there. Definitely made an improvement. Definitely more responsive on the corner coming up here. I overslowed it. It's funny when you like lose, it feels like you lose so much time, but it's like a tenth if you really think about it. Feels like so much time. The gearing in this car is really weird too. One second, Dilemma. Let me get on the straight and I'll read your comment, bud. I've lost those multitasking skills, man. It's way harder. Dilemma said, do you think it's better to have a gentle right foot when you get on the throttle, or is it not important on GT3 cars? Yeah, GT3 cars, it's a little bit more smash. It helps you get the car rotated on the exit, you know. You still want to be a little bit careful, obviously. You don't want to just be like in the traction control the whole time. That's going to kill your exit. You're going to definitely get a bad exit speed. But if you can get a little smashed, a little bit rotated, a lot of times that will help you. Yeah, so much better in that corner, guys. That poor left tire is going to get murdered though. Up a little bit here. There we go. A little green. God, this car's, the brakes are just abysmal, guys. They're so bad. I'm gonna turn that brake bias down just a little bit. I don't know if that's really gonna help. Oh no, my dash just came unplugged here. I think maybe it turned. Let's see, where is the thing? That's rude. One second, guys. My dash, which has my shift, my RPMs just like went out on me. Can't see when to shift now. Just restart SimHub. Okay, let's go ahead and return back to the garage. Really happy with that though. Look at the wear. What's going on here? 2.9, 2.8, 2.91. So we're definitely wearing that rear left just a little bit. It's this track's a little bit harder on the left hand side. Look at the data. You can probably actually see that. If we go to, let's see, traction circle, you can see how much more data points we have over here compared to this corner. This corner is that rear left tire, so you can just see how much more strain we're putting on it. One thing I want to see too, so let's come to, we actually added ABS activation too on the one of the last patches. So if you actually come in here, the ABS activation is this graph right here. So look how much ABS activation we have coming into that final hair. That final hairpin's brutal. That's definitely what's killing our stopping distance here. You know, I'm gonna try bringing it down. We had it pretty high because of Bathurst. It actually helped the braking distance, which was really weird. I'm gonna try bringing it down here. I think we have too much activation here. I think it's really causing us to push and really deep into that corner there and causing a lot of issues. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna go back real quick too, guys. Let's kind of fill out. I want to gather my thoughts on this to see how we feel. So let's just kind of go through this. Turn 1 entry, really good. This is gonna be a 0. Mid corner felt pretty neutral. Exit 0, felt good on the exit too. Is it bumpy there? I think it is. Let's actually dilemma. We'll actually look at the bump speeds on RST and we'll actually see. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Great idea, man. So Hollywood, again, this is like turn 2. This is no issue at all. Control steer 0. Craner curves, which is yeah, that's a 0.2. No issue there. Open feels awesome now, guys. It feels really good. Let's see, Schwarzer curve, no issue there. McLean. Trying to think. It feels maybe a little bit pushy there. It's not bad though. It's like right on the bump. It's like right on the threshold, I would say. Yeah, I think it's maybe a -1 through there, and then pretty neutral, and then fine on the exit. Coppice is definitely a -1 there. A little understeery, and then a pretty good on the exit, I'd say. It's a little bit on the oversteery side, but it's just because you're getting a lot of wheel slip on the exit. I think we might go up on the TC just 1 click. That will help here quite a bit. Let's see, Foggy S's, Foggart S's, Fogarty S's. This is the hairpin. Hairpin feels phenomenal now after making that adjustment. So the thing that really helped there is the toe out. The toe out's going to really affect that transient on corner entry, and it feels way better. A little bit more toe out's going to make it a little bit more responsive on that turn in. Yeah, Dylan, we actually, so like right before you joined, bud, I actually went through and talked about how we use these spreadsheets to do the setups for teams. So actually we'll do this, and then Nick will do this, and then Marcus will do this, and then what we'll do is compare notes and areas where we all agreed are issue points. Like if we all said, hey, McLean's is -1 on entry, we would all work on that, right? Because it's going to be a benefit that we all have if we make changes there. Pretty neutral there. Good on the exit. Hairpin is -1, but I really think that's because of traction control. Understeery, fine on the exit. So I think I'm gonna put a note here. This is probably ABS activation. And then Goddard's feels really good there. No issue there. So this actually, I'm pretty happy with this setup, apparently, according to my feedback. So let's go ahead, point out some of these areas that we need to kind of look at. So I'm just going to say here, Melbourne. So all of the feedback I had for corner entry was unresponsive. So maybe a little bit more rear toe, front toe out, or maybe a little bit less rear toe in. Let's see what the rear toe in on the rear is. Let's say mid corner. Here's an issue. Yellow. Here's an issue, yellow, and then exit's fine. So I don't really need to change any bump settings or anything on the rear. So let's see, pretty much looking at my feedback overall, a little bit pushy, right? We know that Melbourne hairpin is probably because of that ABS activation. Because if you look at the data, I mean, look at this. If you like look at, you know, this is the whole braking, later part of the braking zone. It's just like non-stop ABS activation. So I'm gonna try dropping that ABS activation down just a little bit. I wish I could like alt tab and you guys could just see. I keep having to like click hide and show. So I think that's gonna solve this one. These other two, McLean's and Coppice. So let's think about this. McLean is uphill, so that could be an indication of push, right? Because that front's gonna compress a little bit. That could cause a little bit of pushing there. And then Coppice is uphill as well. Both of those are uphills, which is actually interesting. And then we have this understeer mid corner through there. So we did bring down the rear ride height, so that's going to automatically move the lateral transfer distribution, so that we have a little more low transfer up front, which could be giving us these issues. I could probably increase the front toe out just a little bit more. That would help the entry. Really wouldn't help the mid corner. But let's think about this. The reason I might be having some of this understeer at mid corner is because the corner entry is so unresponsive, right? Like I'm still waiting on it to hook up, that I might be confusing that the unresponsive mid corner is just because the response on the entry is still catching up, right? Because the car is pretty neutral here, and this is a lot less uphill than the Coppice was. Let's go ahead and look at the setup. Let's see what we got here. Overall, we definitely need to add a little bit more response in. Let's go back to the game. Let's go. New tire set, right? Move the brake bias just a little bit. And then what we're gonna do here is let's really move that ABS down just a little bit here. So we're at 7. Let's try 4. I might die at 4. But let's see. With the NSX, there's a little bit of a trick. You can get away with a little bit more ABS, and it definitely helps braking distance. So I don't really want to add more front toe out because we're already at negative 0.14, which is still pretty low. To be honest, it's really not that bad. So we still have a little bit of room, but we do have a decent amount of rear toe in, and that's also going to give unresponse on corner entry. Let's try reducing that a little bit because that's also going to maybe help the tire temperature on that rear left just a little bit as well. So again, you can kind of approach it from either end, right? We can either add more front toe out on the front or reduce rear toe in on the rear. Again, just kind of depends what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is add more corner entry response. So you can do that with the front or the rear, right? I don't really want to do more on the front because we're already pretty close to being at the upper limit of where I would be comfortable setting that. And the rear was already a little high, so let's just move it down a little bit. That's going to make the car a little bit more responsive. As far as everything else, I think this is probably going to fix the issues we have. This bump's a little bit high here. Let's see how the toe adjustment feels, and then we can take a look. We might want to play with the dampeners just a little bit. Maybe this front bump's a little high. Might also be giving us that corner entry like push just a little bit, right? So we could probably reduce that just a little bit. But let's see what this feels like. Again, we just reduced the rear toe out just a little bit. We reduced the rear toe in just a little bit, sorry. Did I load up a new tire set? Let's see. Yep, 5. Just gonna turn the music up just a little bit. This music's kind of like slow. I'm gonna actually change the music just a little bit here. A little too slow for me. I always like to have a little bit of music on when I'm doing these setups because it's just it's kind of boring, right? Doing setup work. Like I love it, but I know it's really boring for you guys to watch. But I know you guys do it because you like to learn kind of some of the tricks that I do. So ABS 4, which is probably going to help us on the hairpin, and then also we really reduce the rear toe in, which is going to give us more response on corner entry. So let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, she's way more responsive, boys. Way more responsive, chat. Wonka W. Is the NSX competitive? I think it can be very competitive at some tracks. Like Bathurst, the NSX is really strong. I don't know how, it's probably not the strongest car here at Donington. It definitely can be competitive, but I would say most of it's really like specific tracks that it does well, if that makes sense. It's not like an overall competitive car like the McLaren or something like that. Still waiting on these pressures to come up. How's it going, by the way, Giant? Welcome to the stream, my man. Oh yeah, way better on the braking distance. Let's wait and see though. Is the volume and the stream quality okay, guys? Let me know. I've been tweaking stuff and hopefully I've not done more damage than good. All right, tire pressure is coming up. Not bad for low tire pressures here. Corner entry is so much better through there. Still a little pushy through there though. Might be the front bump though. All right, let's see what this feels like, boys. Come on. Oh yeah, much better, much better. Little TC on the exit though. All right, again, let's see what happens here. God, turn one feels so good. I love it when you just take the turn like perfectly. Like it just feels so amazing. Come on, baby, we're up a 10th. Want to see that green? Two tenths. Good exit there. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know, Giant. Let me that's a long text, so let me get to the end of this lap. Oh, that felt amazing. 3 tenths. 3 tenths, 4 tenths. Let's go, chat. Four tenths still, we're still up here, guys. Oh my God. Of course I throw it all the way in the final hairpin. Still up like 2 or 3 tenths though. So the Giant said, speaking of the McLaren, how do you drive that car? I'm a bit confused. I think the turbos on the on throttle application, all the power is at the peak. Yeah, so the McLaren, you have to think about it, right? One of the really strong things about the McLaren Giant is it's so low to the ground and it's got a really good aero platform. So like tracks like Silverstone, where you have a lot of really high speed flowy turns, it does really well. Yeah, right. The dilemma, I definitely messed it up. So a lot of times with the McLaren, the hard part is just getting that aero balance right. It does have a bad BOP at some tracks. I know Bathurst, we drove the McLaren and we really struggled there. But yeah, the McLaren, to me, it's kind of similar to some of the other mid engines, but it definitely has a different feel. You don't drive it like you do like the Lamborghini or the NSX. I feel like the NSX you drive very similar to how you drive the Lamborghini. That rear left tire is doing much better too after we changed the rear toe in. One more saw lap. Okay, here we go. I'm really thinking about how the car feels too, guys. God, I love that turn. So fun. All right, 10th. I haven't, the Giant. I heard people trying it though. Have you tried it, man? How is it? I'm kind of scared to try it because I actually like the ACC default feedback. To me, it feels pretty good. There's some time. Oh, thought there would be, but actually not. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that'd be such an upgrade going to the PC. Like going from console to PC, I heard is just like amazing. It's like a different game, people have said. Well, I found a 10th in the final hairpin. All right, let's focus again. I really want to see if we want to make any more adjustments to the setup here. Again, I get really well on with this setup, but I could give it to Marcus and Nick and there'd be a lot of complaints. So again, it's really about thinking about the car setup and then trying to articulate that feedback inside the spreadsheet. Man, I totally messed up there. So I'm pretty happy with this. What I want to do though is let's pull up the data for the dampeners. I am very curious. So, okay, let's kind of come back. So I would say that this feels pretty good now. I'm not having any issues on the entry there. This feels good. No issues on the entry here now. Still having a little bit of push here though on Coppus, and Coppus is one of those so the Giant, I'm actually using a Simmagic PD wheel. So at Coppus, it's a really there's a lot going on. It's uphill, it's bumpy, we're on the curbs. Let's look at the dampeners and see what happens. We probably can get a little bit better response here with just messing with the dampeners a little bit. So let me hide this so you guys actually see the data, and let's do a quick look. So let's come to the dampener histograms and let's see what we got here. So on the front, we have a pretty big rebound bias actually. Hey, what's up, David? How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. I've actually never tried Forza. How is it, man? Do you like it? The first racing game I actually played was Need for Speed Shift, which is pretty funny. So you can see we have a pretty big rebound bias that really wouldn't be affecting corner entry, really. It would be really affecting corner exit, but we're not really having any issues corner exit. So I'm not sure adjusting the dampeners is really going to help there. Let's look at the dampener speeds though. You never know. And what I want to do is click come here. So this is Coppus. This is where we're having the issues, right? So here's where we get on the brakes. Pretty bumpy through here, and the mid corner is pretty bumpy too. So you have to think as we get bumpy, as things get bumpy, there we go. Actually, so normally you can drag this up or down, but it looks like it's not dragging correctly. I have to write a bug and fix that. These damn RST developers. So you have to think, right? Dampeners are not going to apply a force until it sees a velocity. Well, that's why we come in here and look at these velocities. And there's some things we can actually see here. So you can actually definitely tell we are getting into the high speed region of the dampener. So I could make a high speed adjustment here and probably affect how this corner feels. You see mostly where we're seeing oscillations are the green and the red. The green and the red are the left hand side, which is the loaded side. So that could be an issue. The rear is the green, the front left is the red. So you can definitely see basically positive values here are going to be compression or bump. Negative values are going to be rebound. And you can see there's definitely more red, like higher peaks on the rebound side than on the compression side. And look how much compression we have on the green side. So that's telling me there's a good amount of bump dampening happening in this region. That's almost keeping it from going into compression. It's really not compressing a lot, right? And then at mid corner here, let's see what's going on here. The front right is the blue and the rear right is the yellow. So again, at this curve right here, you can see the yellow, which is the rear, is a little bit more compression here. I think if we reduce that front bump, just maybe like the low speed, like maybe 3 clicks, I think we're going to be pretty much right on the money. That's going to help give us a little bit, again, as the dampener compresses, a little bit less force up front, which is going to keep a little bit more load in the tire. The more rigid you make a suspension, the more you couple that suspension, and mechanically you get what's called reduced like compliance of the tire. So you have more load patch variation, which just means you basically have less grip. Fancy way of saying you have less grip. So let's do that. I feel like the bounce in the car feels really good. I mean, if we go back to the setup sheet, right, that we're working to, Oh, actually, if I minimize that, that's weird. No, that didn't work. That's weird. It like was gone, but then when I did it, now it won't go away. But if we look at the setup sheet here, I mean, we're pretty happy with the bounce of the car, right? Like if I looked at this setup sheet and I was seeing a lot of understeer or, you know, lack of entry response, I'd probably make a different adjustment than the dampeners. But I really think the mid corner issue is really a lack at the entry. I'm just kind of prolonging it here. So I think if we reduce the compression damping, it's going to give me a little bit more response on the entry, which is going to help us at that mid corner. So I think if it's a little bit less, the thing I'm going to be scared of is I could see a little over response in some of these other corners now that are pretty good now. So we'll have to kind of balance that. If that doesn't go the way we think, we might want to make another adjustment somewhere else. So let's go ahead and hide that. So again, we know for this corner here that we're at, which is right here, looking at the dampener speeds is really important because again, this is going to tell you if you're in a high speed region or a low speed region. If we look at these peaks, like this value is at 400. Typically, you're going to be in high speed anything like after like 80 millimeters per second. So we could make a high speed adjustment or low speed. I want to make a low speed because I know the low speed damping is really high. If it becomes an issue, we might set that back to where it was and then just decrease the high speed dampening. That might help. That might help us isolate just this corner versus the other corners. But let's try that low speed because I know it's going to affect these high speed regions too. And I know it's a little bit on the high side. Is this ride height versus track distance? So these travel graphs are the travel of the dampener. So if this was a real world car, basically these would be the linear transducers that are giving you positional data. Some cars use like a potentiometer, like a rotary potentiometer, and they have like a gear that you can use. Most people will have it's called a linear transducer, and basically you have a mounting point on one point of the shock, mounting point on the other, and then it just measures the displacement of the shaft. And that's kind of what these tables are here. RSC does have an arrow tab where we have those values, but I didn't enter the car parameters because I want to show people, we keep getting on the forums, people complaining of the car parameters. I want to show you that you guys can still do setup work without entering the car parameters. The car parameters are there if you want to use those load graphs. Sometimes you don't need to, sometimes you're fine. Sometimes you do need to use the load graphs, right? So I want to show you guys totally capable to do it without. So we're trying to set this car up without using some of those other graphs. Sometimes I probably would look at what the lateral stiffness distribution is doing in the roll gradient, but for now, we're just going to go with this. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get back to the game. We're going to go back into the setup here. And we are going to, again, reduce this front bump compression. Again, this is going to help give us a little more entry response, which I think is going to help us in Coppice because, again, it's pretty bumpy. We're getting a lot of oscillations there. Having higher stiff compression damping is definitely going to cause the car to push a little bit more. So we're just going to reduce that. And don't be shy with dampener adjustments. You know, 3 clicks is a good adjustment. You don't want to do too small. You're really not going to notice it. So we're just going to save that. And we're just going to make sure we're on a fresh set, which we are. And let's get back out there, guys. There we go. I love doing a little pill out session in the pit lane. Don't tell the FIA. Who's excited for the Le Mans 24-hour tomorrow, guys? I guess it's technically on Saturday, but I know there'll be some like pre-activities tomorrow. Super excited though. I got a case of beer in the fridge ready to watch the race, do some RST programming. So again, waiting for these tire pressures to really come in to really evaluate the car. A little deep there. The ultimate driving machine. Who's ready for the new BMW to get in the game too? I love that car in iRacing. It's so much fun. Turned in a little bit too early. Feels pretty good. Yeah, it does. Oh, that feels so much better too right there. So we're a little down on this lap. Let's try to push next lap though. I don't know when it comes, Giant. I'm assuming, I mean, there is an announcement going to be made by Kunos in a few days. I'm kind of hoping it gets announced there. I know we're going to probably get it though. Let's have to wait and see though. All right, let's push here, guys. Yeah, it definitely feels so much better in Coppice, but it's a little bit unresponsive everywhere else. I think I'm gonna go back to the low speed setting and drop the high speed just a little bit. It's not horrible, it's just noticeable though. It's a little bit too unresponsive for me. Of course, we're on pace now. All right, let's try that. I mean, the pace is there, but I think we need to split the difference, right? Let's go to 17 here, and then the high speed fast bump. Let's go drop it a good amount here. I think that's what we're gonna want. I think we were at 18 on the low speed before, weren't we? Chat? I think we're 18, right? Let me know. Being a dummy here. Babe, it's not a Fanatec wheel, man. It's a Simmagic wheel, and then I have a custom button box on top of it, bud. So it's fun though. I really do like it. If you ever get the opportunity to try DD, definitely give it a go. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. It's always fun to do the setups when we have you guys hanging out. It's always boring doing laps by yourself. Yeah, I think that's right, Giant. Yep. Good. So what we did is we just dropped the high speed just a little bit. Yeah, because when you really get on that curve, I mean, that's probably where you're getting a lot of the high speed at. Let's wait till we get a little pressure in here, though. I want to show you guys a new graph too. So you know how we have the roll gradients. We have a a graph called run roll gradients or roll gradient evolution. So you actually do a run graph of the roll gradient distribution, so you can see how the setup balance is changing per lap. Yeah, that's right, David. It's not my full-time job. I actually am a mechanical engineer for Northrop Grumman, so I work on rockets. But on the weekends, I do setup work as like a consultant for a lot of like local teams and kind of gentleman drivers. But I love doing this kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun, so I like to apply it in sim racing, and it's a good way. You know, sim racers are always a good crowd. We're all here to have a good time, so. Tire pressure's low. We're driving like an idiot too. Oh man, that felt amazing. Yeah, I knew I was gonna invalidate that a little too early on the throttle there. Yeah, let's see what we do here. Ah, try to get on the throttle just a little too early. No, that was a little too fast, but I didn't want to lift. God damn it. Downshifted too aggressively there. Kind of threw it away. Car is quick though, guys. It's passing through there. That was beautiful. Look at that. Losing a little time. That was a huge mistake too, and we're still pretty much on pace with our fastest lap here. All right, yeah, we definitely have the pace here. All right, come on. No stupid mistakes. God, that feels good. We definitely fixed the unresponsive issue there too. Too deep, too deep. It's okay. Didn't lose too much time. Overslowed the car just a little bit there. There we go. 0.02 tenths. The improvement. All right, but one more lap. Then I want to show you guys something cool in the data. Yeah, although it just takes time, man. It's so much more fun when you get a car that just feels good, though. Like the driving experience is like elevated so much. It just takes time to be able to read the data and like really interpret what the car feels and things like that. I mean, there's, you know, really we try to make it as accessible as we can with RST, but in a lot of ways there's no replacement for just experience. There we go. Come on. That was a good exit. David said the question is, how does one tell if it's a tune or better driving? So that's definitely a hard part, David. You just gotta. Part of it is just really trying to maximize out the car and get to a part where you're very consistent, right? Oh, we just destroyed our time there. Yeah, we're gonna get. God damn it. All right, I don't know. I think that the pace is definitely in the car now, guys, but I think I just gotta practice as a driver now. So David, to better answer your question, let me turn this down too. Whenever you're doing setup work, right, the best indicator of if you're going in the right direction is two things, really. I always tell people the ultimate king is gonna be your lap time, right? And then the second is lateral G's. The more lateral G's you can pull through a corner, the higher speed you're pulling through that corner, which means lower time, right? So lap time is the best indicator, but it's also very driver, you know, driver specific. Like if you're taking a wrong corner, then you start doing a wrong corner, you start doing it right, you're gonna think you did better, but it's not the setup, right? Lateral G is a little bit better in that because you're actually measuring it in the data and at the corner. The best advice that I can give you is just go out, do laps, and get to a point where you're doing like a 10th or 2 every lap, right? If you're going a 10th or 2 every lap, a 10th or 2 every lap, and really thinking about the corners and where you're losing time and where you're kind of struggling with the car, and then go do what I did with that spreadsheet where you talk about corner entry, mid-corner, corner exit for every corner. If you go and do that, and then you make a setup adjustment, you're like, hey, this corner entry, let's add a little more toe out, or maybe a little more rear rebound on the entry to get me that rotation that I want. And then you go two tenths quicker, then it's pretty good indications to set up, right? And then you could also measure the lateral G's. Sorry if you guys can hear my dogs barking. Let me tell them to be quiet real quick. Okay, sorry, we're back, guys. One thing I want to show you guys before we end the stream, though, is I want to show you this new graph that we have, which is really, really cool. So let's go to the data here, and you can see, I mean, look at these lap times. So if we come in here, if we come to run, look at this. Standard deviation is high. This lap's out lap. Let me delete that. We're doing a 27.6, so mid 27s, and our standard deviation is 0.1, a tenth in 4 different laps. Obviously, this is going to expand, right? But when it comes down to endurance racing, getting that average lap time down is very important, but also that standard deviation, right? You really want to figure out how you can really work on getting that down. You want to be as consistent as possible. And RC, it gives you your lap time average and your standard deviation to help you identify that. But we just added something new, and it's called RG Evo. So if we come into suspension, right, and we look at the pitch and roll gradients, RG, aka roll gradient, it's measuring the amount of roll in the front and the amount of roll in the rear. It's a really good indication of, and its roll gradient is the amount of roll per G, right? So it's kind of normalized by how many G's you're pulling. It's a really good indication of the balance of the car, right? If you look at this slope, very nice linear turn. As the car on the front gets more stiff, this line's gonna get more flat, more shallow, which means it's stiffer. The softer it gets, the steeper it gets. So it's a good way to measure the front and compare it to the rear and see how that's kind of a good indication of your mechanical balance, right? And you still have to account for the center of gravity and things like that to really understand the ultimate balance of the car. This is a good indication of, with those things in mind, what the balance is, right? So one of the interesting things is when you're doing setups for endurance racing, you don't want the setup just to be good for the first 5 laps. You want the setup to be good over many laps, right? So that is something that's really, really important. And that's why we added RG Evo. So RG Evo stands for roll gradient evolution. It's going to tell you how the distribution of roll gradient changes over time. So the way you measure the distribution of roll gradient, it's the rear roll gradient over the total roll gradient. So the rear plus the front, right? So the lower the number gets, the more rearward the lateral stiffness distribution is, which means more oversteer. The higher the roll gradient distribution gets, means the more far forward, which means more oversteer over time. So we're actually going to look at... if we look at run, if we look at, I'm sorry, I was just thinking, just making sure I said that right. I always get them kind of flipped in my head, but I did. So if we come to RG Evo, you can see there's a kind of a change here, right? Because the first 2 laps, the roll gradient is actually really influenced by the pressures of the tire. That's why the car feels like shit when you first getting the tire, the pressures. It's actually affecting the lateral stiffness distribution of the car. You're not getting a good read here. So this is actually really nonsense. You really want to do this with a lot of data and see how the trend changes. So I'm gonna I never did more than like 4 laps. So let's do this. Let's go do a practice race. Let's see what the tire wear is after like a 20-minute race. We're gonna race with the AI, so it's gonna be a little bit different. And then let's come and look at here and then see how that roll gradient changes over time. Obviously, the more the roll gradient changes, the more the balance is going to shift in the car, which is a bad thing. We don't want the balance really shifting a lot over a stint, right? We want the balance to stay relatively the same so that it's consistent, it's predictable. The driver can push it and he doesn't feel like the car's going to bite him in the butt, right? We want to instill confidence in the driver. And the way you do that is reduce evolution in the setup. You're obviously going to have rear tire wear, so you got to balance that out. But again, this is something you really want to compare, especially when you're doing endurance races, because the consistency over the full session, the full 9 hours, 12 hours, whatever, it's really important. So we're gonna close this. Let's go back in the game. We're gonna exit out of here, and we're actually gonna do a race, 20-minute race with AI. So let's see, it's at 4 o'clock, so don't forget that. Not 4 o'clock, but 2 o'clock, 1400, 20 minutes. What is that? That's gonna be like 10 laps ish. Yeah, that should be good. Let's do 25. That'll be an extra 2 laps. And then I'm gonna start us at near kind of the front, because the AI are kind of slow. And I don't want them kind of skewing the data, if that makes sense, because they will if we have to overslow the car and things like that. So let's load her up. Temperatures look the same, so I know that setup that we just developed is going to be what we want. That does look good. Back to 1. Just checking everything here, guys. I did change that. Let's make that change real quick. And let's load her up. So I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One is let's see what the tire wear after 25 minutes is, to see how that balance is going to shift. And then also let's look at that roll gradient evolution to see if is a car getting more oversteery as time goes on or less understeery. And it's not going to be measuring the oversteer or understeer, right? Which could be affected by the tires. It's purely measuring the roll gradients, which is mostly a function of the lateral stiffness distribution. So it's really just telling you how the mechanical grip is changing. So you got to think about that in terms of the tire wear. If you have more rear tire wear and the roll gradient is moving farther forward, you're going to have a pretty good consistent setup over the full stint, right? Because the tire wear is getting more worn on the rear, but the lateral stiffness is moving farther forward. So you're really kind of balancing out. You're kind of neglecting the two, right? The opposite is true. So if you have a lot of rear tire wear, but then the roll gradient's moving a little bit further back, where you have more load transfer on the back, it means you have 2 things causing more oversteer in the setup. So the car's gonna really a change. We're gonna restart. You guys didn't see that. It's because I was talking, I swear. I'm gonna blame the AI too, but if you have 2 things acting, obviously that's really bad. It's gonna really cause the setup to evolve. So again, really thinking about how the setup's evolving over time is really important. So just a little fancy restart here. You guys didn't see that. That was not the race that you guys just saw. That's my one gripe about the AI and AC, is they love to take you out. It's probably my fault. Like when I watch the replay back of that, I'm probably gonna be like, I squeezed him. But they do like get Kyalami into one of the turns, they will totally like run into the back of you. AI rammers, yeah. So one thing too here, guys, you can see I'm holding the brake and pushing the throttle. That's gonna add more temperature into that brake, which is gonna add more pressure into the tires. Plus it gives you a good exit because your RPMs are up. 3 wide into turn 1. We're gonna back out here just a little bit.
All clear. Car on the right. Clear on the right.
That Audi snuck on the inside here. Oh my god. See, that's why I hate racing the AI. Totally just stopped on the apex. It's funny, whenever I do the online races, I gain like 10 SA, and then when I do these races, I gain like -10. Go backwards.
Stay in double file.
Alright, 3rd time's the charm, right? I think it's just the start most of the time. Like, the start is where they're like overcautious. And you can back out and it's a little bit more predictable. Have you guys tried some of those online race services? I know SimGrid, I've tried SimGrid, but I know Dan Zuki was talking about another one that he was talking about saying pretty good. I think that one of the bad things about AI too is they're not real players. So you definitely drive a little different around them than you would a real player.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Alright, I'm really gonna be cautious here.
Clear on the right.
The tire pressure is so low, the car feels like it's on skates. Look at that, braking through there. Jesus. That's such a bad corner to brake too, because you're coming around the crest at high speeds. Like, it's so easy to get oversteer through there. Trying to take it a little easy too while our pressures are a little low here. Track optimal right now? It feels a little loose. Oh, it is. Okay. Probably just the pressures. Oh my god. So slow at the corner. Turn this music up just a little bit too. Really? I think that's the one that Dan was talking about. Have you tried it, Steve? Is it pretty good? I might have to check that out. Alright, see if we can catch this pack up here. Oh, we got a little free room. Tire pressures are coming up. So easy to like miss your line too because you're watching the cars ahead. A little push in the wash there, but not too bad. What is that line? What is that guy doing? That line is horrible. You had to really stomp on the brake not to make contact there. Gotta get around the BMW. The BMW is what's scaring me. Like the 2 cars ahead look fine, and this dude is like just going crazy. I need some copium through here. Oh wow, 5 grids a week? That's not too bad.
The fastest steps.
Definitely have to check that out. But yeah, I'm curious to see what it is. It's gonna probably be so skewed because of the AI, but oh well. I want to just show you what it looks like. And it's on the beta too. If you haven't checked it out, Lou, you can download it now. It's already out, but you have to download the beta client. It's not on the prod version. Too much curb there. I will say, once the AI gets spread out, they're pretty fun in it. ACC, they're probably some of the better AI, in my opinion. Look how much time we're getting right here. All right, I'm gonna take the inside
Car on the left.
because they are super slow at this corner. Gotta block the inside here. He's still getting me from behind. That's what I'm talking about. These AI, dude. They don't give a flip. They will run you off the road. It's definitely keeping up. I know the BMW is actually pretty decent here. Pretty decent car. Carrying way more mid-corner speed than this McLaren though at the apex. I'm gonna have to lift off here just a little bit. Man, that McLaren's such a good looking car too. I love the look of it ahead. Oh yeah, look at this run here.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Inside. Carry out, carry out. There we go. You got a bad exit. Let's go. I know it's AI, but hey, it's a position, right? See if we can catch P1 here. He's kind of far up here, so I don't know. See if we can do it. Must have hit a curb or something on that rear left, a little low. On tire pressure here. 1.7 ahead. Let's go, chat. God, that was nice. Car feels so lit. A little pushy on the exit. That rear left tire, jeez. Look at that tire. Definitely closing the gap. 1.4 to the head. 1.4 to P1. Definitely leaving that McLaren behind us now. Oh yeah, we got a second on P1. Let's go, boys. It's nice that you can cut the inside of T1 just a little bit on the grass. You get a little bit more mid-corner speed if you can take that line. Kind of sliding it a little bit too much. Through that fast high-speed turn. Definitely want to be a little bit careful of that in the race. There we go. Good exit. Good exit. Let's go. Let's go, chat. All right, let's move that brake bias up just a little bit. Just preserve the rears. Nice. Damn, 27.3. We're on a heater right now. I'll take this inside. Thank you, sir. Side by side. Still back there. Gonna have to stay on the outside for this turn. Stay inside. Look at this battle. He wants to battle, guys. God. Oh, he's a little more brave than me here. Oh, we got it done now. We got it done. Oh, he's got a better exit though. Oh, this is sketchy. He backed out. He backed out. Little wide, little wide. Nice. Get her done. It kind of sucks that we went side by side on that last lap because I'm pretty sure we were up to do a 27.3 that lap, which is not bad considering full fuel and these temperatures. Yeah, we're leaving them in the dust now, guys. The AI are turned all the way up as well, so they're maxed out. I think the aggression's like 90, so the aggression's not maxed out, but the skill level definitely is. Tire pressure a little bit low on the left side. I'm probably hitting a lot of curb strikes here. That was nice. Look at that time. Look at that time. Get green. Oh, it's pressure loss on the front left. Oh well. Oh yeah, definitely feeling it now. Definitely pulling a gap on that Mercedes, huh? Man, we're getting braver through there. Donington's such a fun track. I love this track. Good turn one again. Up a 10th. Kind of overslowed that corner, but I don't want to go wide and lose pressure again. Went too deep, but I saved it. Well, we try to make it a race, guys. It kind of turned into hot lap mode, though. That's okay. Make the roll grind Evo data a little bit more clear.
Come on. Yeah, the left-hand pressure's a little bit low. Might have to be something we consider. It might overflate the left-hand sides to give us a little bit of buffer if we, Oh, my game just crashed. Oh, that's weird. Everything just crashed. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Well, let me close, well, let me mute this first, because that's hella annoying, so sorry about that. My game just froze for some reason. I don't know, can you guys still... Oh yeah, you guys, I'm still streaming. That's really weird, I've never had that before. We're gonna end the game, though. Yeah, that is definitely a great track. Let's go ahead and load up RC, though. I do want to show you that roll gradient, guys. So we did about 10 laps now, so that's a little bit better. I'm gonna close those two, and let's click on the roll gradient Evo here. Oh, and that just crashed too. Nice. Yeah, something's up with my PC. RC just crashed as well. Well, sorry about that, guys. Let me actually, what I'll do, guys, is I want to show you that roll gradient Evo. So I'm going to load up some old data that we had for RST. My computer's been on for a long time, so I'm wondering if there's some issues there. I need to restart it. But let me just open this up. I just want to show it to you guys so you guys can see. Transform, center on screen. Then we'll make this a little bigger. A little real-time action here. Sorry about this, guys. So I'm gonna load up ACC. We're just gonna load up. So all the setups that we have on our website, we've collected data on them for our own analysis. So I'm gonna load some of that data up. So we're gonna go RT setups. Let's do like a Silverstone setup, and let's do like the McLaren. So first thing I gotta make sure is that the car parameters are set up. So roll gradients again depend on the track width and then the IRs, and that's all set. So I'm gonna go ahead and just click on this lap. You can see obviously we're at Silverstone. If I go to run and click on let's see, roll gradient, let's look at the tire pressure. I want to show you how nice this is. So here you can see again the tire pressures average over a full like length here. So you can kind of see, let me hide my webcam. You can kind of see how like at the beginning they come out to pressure and then they're a little bit over pressure, but then they reduce a little bit. That's pretty consistent with how the tires work in ACC. Let me go ahead and show you that roll gradient Evo that we were talking about before, though. So you can see here, you know, the first like lap we're coming up, right? And that's because of the tire pressures are coming up, like I was saying before. But you can see there's a little bit of variation here. Again, that's because of like, you know, traffic or, you know, things that are causing us to not get the maximum out of the car. But you can see if you were to draw a line through this point, there would be a line through here, right? Like a positive slope. Like if I were to draw this, like it would probably go from, you know, like 46.93 to like, you know, 46.965 or something like that, right? It'd be this positive slope. So a positive slope again means that the rear roll gradient is going up, which means that the balance is moving more to the front, right? We have less lateral load transfer on the rear, which means the car's going to actually get more stable as the race goes on. So this is what I would want to see. If I had more rear tire wear on the rear, that means the car's going to move a little bit more towards oversteer, right? Because there's less grip on the rear. But if I had a positive slope in this rear gradient Evo, God, that's a lot of in the mouth to say. But that means if this line's positive, it means that the front's becoming more and more load transfer, right? So they're kind of balancing out the two, which means that this car is probably going to feel pretty consistent over the full stint. You're not really going to, you know, become more and more unstable or more understeer. It's kind of gonna balance out. So this is kind of something that we would want to look at. And every time we do setups, this is kind of the things that we evaluate, right? We're trying to evaluate the setup evolution to make sure that it's consistent and it's not changing too much. But that is gonna be it, guys. Let me switch back to cam here. Thank you guys for tuning in with us today. Sorry we had a crash at the end. That was really weird. Game froze and then RST crashed.
But again, thank you guys for hanging out. It's always a lot of fun. If there's a car set up, anything you guys want to see me do, let me know. I'm going to be working on RST tomorrow and this weekend to get that broadcasting functionality out. I'm hoping this weekend we can get it out so you guys can broadcast your data to your friends. It's going to be really cool. But that's going to be it for today. If you like the video, you like the stream, be sure to hit it with a like or a subscribe if you're new, or leave a comment. Any kind of activity helps. But I'm Zach from RacingSimTools, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your Friday and the weekend. And until then, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.